I'm Deborah Hunter. I am an artist who works in fine art photography, and I have taught photography in the art department at SMU for 40 years. The first project that I'm going to show is work that I began once I got my job at SMU. I was traveling on coastal steamers visiting fishing villages, and so when I was on the water, I realized this amazing experience of being confronted with a horizon line. So I ended up doing a series of photographs of people looking out at the water and how they would just stand at attention, mesmerized by infinity. Once I stood on land in these small fishing villages, I didn't know anyone to photograph. So I ended up being really interested in clothes drying on the line. I could make a photograph about sort of the presence or the absence of a being and photograph the animating spirit of the wind. So I got really interested in two ways of working with, you might say, the invisible. So the size of the print, which we can make much larger, I think invites one to make more complex images because it's so large and you can see so much detail in it. A photograph that is small, the detail is going to be very small. Now you will get a kind of intimacy in looking at it, but this is really wonderful where you can examine all of this stuff, particularly this worker with his orange safety vest. And then over here you have this out of focus male mannequin with an orange tie. So there's a kind of comparison between this transparent ghost-like mannequin with a real worker. So it's really the scale. The larger the print might cause you to make images where small details become important, because the small details will disappear in a small print, and you have to have a different strategy if you are trying to make a small print effective. This was the very first photograph I made when I started working on this project, and I love it. This is a man who watched television through this mirror. I really felt that the approach that I took in both the waiting series and the raw material series was very similar. I'm photographing a person in an environment in which the environment tells you a lot. I'm carefully involved with light here, but here I'm very attentive to the descriptive potential that color has and all of this. Besides, I love this little sleeping baby that I'm imagining that he is dreaming of or guarded by, or somehow some ancestral influence is suggested through this figurine. So to me, they're really two ends of the same thing. And in this case, both the child and older person are sleeping in a kind of dream state. You know, the older you get, the more important history becomes. And so I'm very interested in the history of photography, especially as it relates to the American West and specifically the Southwest. And since I've spent so much time in Taos, I've become aware of the important archive of American history told through the photographic image. And the project that I'm working on is really a longitudinal study of Taos that's taken me, started in like 2004, so that's like 14 years it's been going on. I think that my work has moved from a pretty simple, straightforward narrative to now, 40 years later, a more complicated view. I'm not so single-oriented. And that doesn't surprise me because that sort of, I think, reflects my own development as an artist and as a person, that things become more complex and I'm not so focused on single objects. It's more the whole environment that I'm interested in.